Once again, welcome to the YouTube channel of Srimati C.B. Adarsh Vidya Mandir High School. In today's science session, we are going to discuss about the topic animal classification of standard 10. As this lesson is a bit lengthy and it is not possible for me to explain this lesson in a single go, therefore I have decided to make a series of this chapter. So let's start with our first series. About introduction of this topic, we can say that in our previous classes already we have studied about the classification given by scientist R.H. Whitaker. Scientist R.H. Whitaker classified the living organisms into 5 major kingdoms, which are they? Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Monera, then Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae, and then Kingdom Animalia. And today's topic is Kingdom Animalia or classification of animals. Actually, in our nature, in our surrounding, the estimated number of animals is about 7 million. And it is not possible for the scientist to study the features or characters of each and every animal. So what the scientists decided? They decided to categorize the animals into various groups and subgroups. There are certain animals which are terrestrial by nature. Some animals are aquatic. In aquatic also we have 2 categories. Some aquatic animals are found in fresh water. Some are found in marine or sea water. There are certain animals which crawl on land. Some animals like birds, they fly in the air. And therefore, it was decided that because of huge biodiversity seen around us, scientists classified the animals into various groups and subgroups because the biodiversity is endless. Therefore, we can say or we can define animal classification as animal classification is a system. It is not a process. It is a system by which animals are classified or categorized or placed into various groups and subgroups on the basis of similarities and differences they show in their characters or features. Now one question comes in our mind: what actually is the benefit or advantage of animal classification? Advantages of animal classification are: first, animal classification helps us to know about the evolution. Animal classification facilitates us for easy study. Animal classification, because of this classification, we can know about the habitat of animal. What is habitat? Habitat is the living place of animals. Animals where they live, may be terrestrial, may be aquatic. These are where the animals live. This is known as habitat. Because of animal classification, we can get knowledge about their adaptation. Now, what is adaptation? Adaptation is the power of adjustment of an organism or an animal with the changing surrounding. Because of this classification, because it is very easy for us, if the animals are categorized in various groups, then by studying the property of only one animal, we can get knowledge about the features or characters of all the animals coming under that particular group. And also, we can get knowledge about the features or characters of animals with great accuracy. So, we can say that these are the points, these are the benefits of animal classification. First is, it is easy for easy study. Animal classification is beneficial for easy study. Then it helps in evolution. Then by animal classification, we can get knowledge about the connecting link also. It also makes us aware about the adaptation of animals and also about the habitat of animals, where animals live. Now, according to the traditional method of animal classification, Kingdom Animalia is classified into 2 major groups, which are they? First is non-chordates and second is chordates. We will categorize these non-chordates and chordates on the basis of certain parameters or criteria. These criteria are: first is notochord. What is notochord? Notochord is actually a cartilaginous rod. Chord means string or rod. Notochord is a rod-like structure which is cartilaginous and it is present at the dorsal side. Now the question comes in mind, what actually is dorsal side? Dorsal के साथ one more word is attached, that is called as ventral side. If I keep my hand like this back portion is called as dorsal side. This back part is known as dorsal side, that is where our vertebral column is situated, where our kidneys are situated, and this part, the front side is called as ventral side. Students don't get confused with dorsal and ventral side. Notochord, first is notochord. It is a supporting rod which is present in some of the stages of life cycle of an animal. Second is nerve cord. Nerve cord means again cord means rod, and nerve cord is actually, it is also rod-like structure which is present along with notochord and it is related to central nervous system. Third point is pharyngeal gill slits. It helps for the process of respiration, and you know about the heart. This is the fourth point that is heart. Now we will see whether notochord, nerve cord, pharyngeal gill slits, heart is present in non-chordates or chordates. Notochord is totally absent in non-chordates. Non itself means absent. In non-chordates, notochord is totally absent. In chordates, notochord is present in some of the stages of life cycle of an organism or of animal. Nerve cord is present in non-chordates. Actually, nerve cord is totally absent in non-chordates. Nerve cord is absent in non-chordates. But if it is present, it is in frontal side or at the ventral side. Whereas in chordates, nerve cord is mandatory present. It is compulsory present. Pharyngeal gill slits are absent in non-chordates. May or may not be. Pharyngeal gill slits are totally absent in non-chordates, but in chordates, pharyngeal gill slits are present or lungs are present for the process of respiration. These pharyngeal gill slits are in chordates. It is present during the embryonic development of an animal. And fourth criteria is heart. In chordates, heart is present. In our body, we are chordates. We are super example, we are very evolved chordates, and in our body, heart is present at the ventral side. It is mandatory present. But in non-chordates, heart may or may not be present, but if it is present at the dorsal side. These are the basic difference between non-chordates and chordates. Dear students, from all these portions, some questions can be asked in the examination. First is define animal classification. Second is, this question can be asked for 2 marks or 3 marks. Write the benefits of animal classification. If it is asked for 2 marks, then you have to write 4 points. If it is asked for 3 marks, then you have to write all these 6 points. And differentiate between non-chordates and chordates. There you have to write these 4 points, and on the basis of these 4 points you have to differentiate between non-chordates and chordates. Or this question can also be asked, write some points of non-chordates or write a short note on chordates. Broadly, kingdom Animalia is classified into 2 subkingdoms. One is subkingdom non-chordates, another is subkingdom chordates. Subkingdom non-chordates is divided into 10 major phylums. First phylum is phylum Protozoa, example amoeba. Second phylum is phylum Porifera, example Cycon. Third phylum is phylum Nidaria. It is also called as Coelenterata, example jellyfish. Fourth phylum is phylum Platyhelminthes, example Planaria or liver fluke. Fifth phylum is phylum Aschelminthes, example Ascaris. Sixth phylum is phylum Annelida, example Earthworm. Next phylum is phylum Arthropoda, example prawn or crab, etc. Next phylum is phylum Mollusca, example Pila. Next phylum is phylum Echinodermata, example starfish. And the last phylum of subkingdom non-chordates is Hemichordata, example of hemichordata is Balanoglossus. Hemichordata is the connecting link between non-chordates and chordates. Now moving towards the subkingdom chordates. Subkingdom chordates has only one phylum, that is phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata is further divided into three subphylums. Which are they? Subphylum Urochordata, example Herdmania. Subphylum Cephalochordata, example Amphioxus. Subphylum Vertebrata, example, there are so many classes, there are so many examples of vertebrata because it is further divided into 6 major classes. Classes of subphylum vertebrata are, first is Cyclostomata, example Petromyzon. Second class is Pisces, example all types of fishes. Third is Amphibia, example frog or toad. Fourth one is Reptilia, example snake or lizard. Next one is Aves, example all type of birds. And last one is class Mammalia, which includes human being, bat, lion, tiger, etc. Students, just now we have seen the broader classification of animals. I have some specimens of animals with me because this is our biology class. And biology without specimens is just a body without soul. So, the first specimen that I have is this starfish. Starfish belongs to phylum Echinodermata. The second specimen that I have is this toad. This belongs to class Amphibia. The third specimen is this cute sized snail. It is also called as phyla. It belongs to phylum Mollusca. The fourth specimen is this fish. It belongs to chordates and the class is Pisces. Next one is this prawn, and prawn belongs to phylum Arthropoda. And the last specimen that I have with me is this green parrot, and this belongs to class Aves and the subkingdom is Chordata or chordates. We will study about the characters of each phylum in our next classes. Now coming towards criteria or parameters of animal classification. There are certain parameters on which this classification of animals is based. The first one is symmetry. And inside symmetry, we have 3 types. The first one is asymmetrical bodies, second is bilateral symmetry, and the third one is radial symmetry. If the body of an animal cannot be divided into 2 equal parts, then such type of symmetry is called as asymmetrical bodies. For example, amoeba. The body of amoeba is shapeless, therefore it cannot be divided into 2 halves through any plane. Second one is bilateral symmetry. For example, if my body is cut longitudinally, then it will be divided into 2 equal halves. This one will be the right half and this one will be the left half. But if my body is cut horizontally, then also it will be divided into 2 halves, but in that case these halves will not be equal. From this we will understand the meaning of bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry is a type of symmetry in which the body of an animal can be divided into 2 equal halves through only single plane. For example, this is a frog or toad. If the body of frog is divided like this, then it will be, if it is cut like this, then it will be divided into 2 halves. This is an example of bilateral symmetry. The third one is radial symmetry. What is radial symmetry? This is a circle and this is the midpoint of a circle. If the circle is divided like this or this or this or from this axis, in all these cases circle will be divided into 2 equal halves. From this we can conclude that radial symmetry is a symmetry which divides the body of an animal into 2 equal halves through any plane that passes through the center. For example, this starfish, body of starfish, the symmetry of starfish is called as radial symmetrical body, or the symmetry of starfish is called as radial symmetry. Another example of radial symmetry is of that of hydra that belongs to phylum Cnidaria. Now moving towards another criteria that is called as germ layers. What are germ layers? There are basically 3 germ layers. Outer germ layer is called as ectoderm, middle one is called as mesoderm, and the inner germ layer is called as endoderm. If the body of an animal has only 2 germ layers, that is called as endoderm and ectoderm, then the animal is called as diploblastic. And if all the 3 germ layers, that is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, all these 3 germ layers are present in the body of an animal, then the animal is said to be triploblastic animal. For example of diploblastic animal are all the animals belonging to phylum Cnidaria, and triploblastic human being, they are triploblastic, or class Aves, or all the phylums all the animals belonging to phylum Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, all these are called as triploblastic. Actually, these germ layers are found in multicellular organisms, and they are formed during the embryonic stages of an animal, and ultimately these germ layers forms the tissue. Last criteria is coelom or body cavity. Coelom or body cavity. What is coelom? Coelom is the space between body and the internal organs of an animal, and this is also present in multicellular organisms. Coelom is formed from mesodermic layer or gut. What is gut? Gut is stomach. On the basis whether coelom or body cavity is present in an animal, there are basically 3 types of coelom. The first one is acoelomate animals, the second one is pseudocoelomate animals, and the third one is eucoelomate animals. What actually are acoelomate animals? Acoelomate animals are those animals which do not have true coelom. They do not have coelom. What about pseudocoelomate animals? Pseudo means false. Such type of animals, they have coelom, but their coelom is not exactly formed from mesoderm or gut. And what about eucoelomate animals? Eucoelomate animals are those animals who have true coelom, like mammalian, like human being. Now coming towards certain scientific terms are there which students you have to face while studying about the features of phylums and classes from this lesson. The first one is warm-blooded animals. What actually are warm-blooded animals? Warm-blooded animals are the animals whose body temperature does not change with the change in the temperature of atmosphere. They are also called as homeotherms. Such animals whose body temperature never fluctuate with the change in the temperature of the atmosphere. Their body temperature is always constant. Second one is cold-blooded animals. Cold-blooded animals are the animals whose body temperature changes with the change in the temperature of atmosphere. It means their body temperature fluctuates with the change in temperature of surrounding. Their body temperature is not constant. They are also called as poikilotherms. Examples of warm-blooded animals are human being or all type of birds. Examples of cold-blooded animals are fishes, lizard, snake, frog, etc. Now the next term is endoparasite and ectoparasite. What are parasites? Parasites are the animals which live inside or outside the body of other living organisms for their nutrition. Ectoparasites are those parasites which depend upon other living organisms externally. For example, lice or mosquito or leech. And examples of endoparasites are the animals or the insect, for example ascaris, which is present in the intestine of small children. Endoparasites are the parasites which live inside the body of other living organisms for their food. Next is hermaphrodite or bisexual. What are hermaphrodite animals? Animals which have both reproductive organs, that is male and female reproductive organs in the same body, such type of animals are called as hermaphrodite or bisexual. Bi means two. Both the reproductive organs are present in the same animal body. For example, Annelida, all the animals belonging to Annelida family. For example, we can say earthworm. Earthworm is an example of hermaphrodite animal. The last one is spindle shaped body. Birds and fishes, they have spindle shaped body. What is the meaning of spindle shaped body? They have point towards both the ends, or their body tapers at both the ends. What is the utility of spindle shaped body? Birds have spindle shaped body, their body is pointed so as to offer least resistance while flying in the air. And fishes have spindle shaped body so as to offer minimum resistance while swimming in water. So students, this is all about today's session. Hope you have understood all the concepts, all the topics that I have explained in today's session. And in the very next session, in the coming sessions, we will be studying about the classification we have done. We will study about the features and characters of each and every phylum and each and every class. Till then, goodbye.